Hi guys, I'm Chris.
Hey everybody, I'm Robert.
And we're the Film Flamers.
And we are here, like we do every February, to celebrate the month of love.
And as usual, we do that with horror movies that are about love in some form or fashion.
That's right.
And this month is no different. This year is no different because we are covering Audition.
Audition. A movie that I feel many people regard as one of the best horror movies ever made. It's at the tops of lists all the time.
I use it to edit our podcast.
Do you?
Audition? Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're talking about the movie Audition, When Harry Met Salò.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. But Audition is a 1999 Japanese horror film directed by Takashi Miike and written by Daisuke Tengan, who adapted it from Ryu Murakami's 1997 novel of the same name. It follows a middle-aged widower who enlists the help of his film producer friend to stage fake auditions in order to meet a new girlfriend, only to find that the young woman he chooses has a dark past. The film's score was composed by Koji Endo.
The film was received positively by Western film critics, with many singling out the intense climactic scenes, and commenting on its stark contrast to the scenes that preceded it. The film has appeared on several lists of the best horror films ever made and has had an influence on other horror directors, including Eli Roth and the Suska sisters.
Okay, listeners. Kitty, 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 kitty. This is Audition.
Widower Aoyama, played by Ryu Ishibashi, has spent the last 7 years grieving the loss of his wife with now teenage son, Chiiko, played by Tetsu Sawaki, in Japan. He's become worn out and listless in life, and his son thinks it's time for him to find a woman and remarry. Aoyama confides in his feelings to his friend, film producer Yasuhisa, played by Jun Kunimura. Aoyama has definite set of qualities he wants in a woman: maturity, quietness, proficiency in the arts. His friend concocts a super misogynistic plan: set up a fake film audition, publicize it on the radio to encourage a lot of attention, and let Aoyama choose from a list of applicants to be his future wife. Aoyama poses as a co-casting director and dives into the applications, where he immediately becomes fixated on a former ballet dancer, Asami, played by Ai Shina. The fake audition further cements his interest, and Aoyama intends to woo the young woman. His friend, however, has some serious reservations. He can't locate any of the references on Asami's resume, including a music producer who's been missing for the last 18 months. Aoyama is too enthralled to care and continues to pursue Asami. Asami lives in a very small apartment containing a large sack and a telephone. She sits by the telephone quietly, waiting for it to ring, rocking back and forth, or turning the lamp on and off. We've seen this before. Wait. Well, something oozes out of the sack and it moves around on its own. Finally, the phone rings and she pretends to be surprised that Aoyama has called her. The two meet for a few dinner dates where they get to know each other. Aoyama questions her about her family life, her current job at the bar, and her past as a ballet dancer. Eventually, confident that this is the woman for him, he invites her to a weekend getaway where he intends to propose. During this weekend getaway, Asami strips down to seduce Aoyama and shows him burn scars on her thighs, which she explains was an accident in her youth. She demands that he promise to love her, only her. The two have sex and fall asleep. Aoyama awakens to a phone call from the front desk informing him that Asami has left, and to confirm his reservation.
Reservations.
He has reservations. Or he will. He attempts to track her down with the information on her resume, but all are dead ends. He then starts to run down all of the information that she's given him. At the ballet studio she attended in her youth, he meets her former trainer, now in a wheelchair with prosthetic feet, who tortured her by burning her thighs in a very gross sexual manner. The bar that she says she works at has been abandoned for over a year after the murder and dismemberment of the owner. A passerby tells Aoyama that the police found extra body parts at the crime scene, 3 extra fingers, an extra ear, and a tongue. He's left with more mystery than answers.
Ooh.
One evening, when Aoyama's son is sleeping at a friend's house, Asami breaks into their home and becomes jealous when she sees the framed picture of Aoyama's deceased wife. She drugs his whiskey, kills the family dog, and lies in wait. Aoyama returns home and pours himself a whiskey, which quickly drugs him, and he passes out on the floor. He has a hallucinatory dream in which he imagines past dates with Asami and sexual encounters with other women. In Asami's apartment, he witnesses a man crawl out of a big sack. He's missing both his feet, 3 fingers, an ear, and a tongue. He begs for food, and Asami vomits into a dog bowl and feeds it to him. Back in the ballet school, he witnesses Asami behead the instructor with a long, sharp wire. He awakens, and Asami enters the room with her bag of tricks. She informs him that he's been paralyzed, but his nerves are still working so he can feel the pain she's about to inflict. She accuses him of breaking his promise and loving other people, including his son. She simply cannot abide him loving anyone else, including his own son. She begins the torture as punishment. She starts by slowly inserting acupuncture needles into his abdomen, chanting deeper, deeper, kitty kitty with each stick. She then sticks needles into the soft skin below his eyeballs. She reaches into her siak and pulls out her great big sharp wire. She saws off his left foot and tosses it aside. It's called hobbling. She gets to work sawing off the right foot when his son returns home suddenly and Asami hides to attack him. Aoyama again drifts into dreamland where he envisions his time with Asami in the hotel. He proposes and she accepts, but he again awakens to find his son and Asami fighting up the stairs. His son overpowers her with a kick and sends her flying to the floor below, breaking her neck. Aoyama tells his son to call the police while he stares at Asami. The two make intense eye contact, while she repeats her words of excitement from their previous dates.
The end, she says. Audition had its world premiere on October the 2nd, 1999 at the Vancouver International Film Festival. The premiere was part of a program of modern Japanese horror films at the festival, including Ring and Ring 2. Audition was released theatrically in Japan on March 3rd, 2000. When asked about the reception in Japan, Miike stated that there was no reaction at the film, as the film was shown in small theaters for a short theatrical run. The film was given its theatrical release in the United States on August 8th, 2001, where it would gross $131,000. Miike would later say that the film didn't garner any attention in Japan until it achieved success abroad.
Audition has an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes and is certified fresh. The audience score sits at 80% as well. Wow. The site's consensus reads, quote, an audacious, unsettling Japanese horror film from director Takashi Miike. Audition entertains as both a grisly shocker and a psychological drama.
Psychological. Ken Eisner of Variety gave the film a positive review. Eisner referred to the film as a truly shocking horror film that was made even more disturbing by its haunting beauty. Jeffrey McNabb, writing in Sight and Sound, referred to the film as a slow-burning but ultimately devastating horror pick, and wrote that it's a virtuoso piece of filmmaking with much more subtlety and depth than Miike's other films. The Hollywood Reporter's Frank Scheck described the film as one of the most audacious, iconoclastic horror films in recent years.
Iconoclastic.
Iconoclastic.
It's my drag name.
I'm not even sure what that means.
Iconoclastic, fantastic. Perfect. The film's success with Western audiences, Miike states that he was not surprised, but that he had no idea what goes on in the minds of people in the West, and I don't pretend to know what their tastes are, and I don't want to start thinking about that. It's nice that they liked my movie, but I'm not going to start deliberately worrying about why or what I can do to make it happen again.
Well, damn.
That's really specific.
Fuck our drag, I guess. There are some accolades and legacy, though, to talk about. At the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards, it was nominated for Best Limited Release, but it lost to Ginger Snaps. It was nominated for Best Actress, but it lost to Nicole Kidman for the others.
I can see that.
Yep. And it was nominated for Best Screenplay, but it lost to Ginger Snaps as well. Have you seen Ginger Snaps?
Yeah, of course.
I like this movie better.
Oh, really? Ginger Snaps is Much more American, we'll say.
Yes.
Audition has been described as an influence on torture porn and influenced American directors such as Eli Roth. Roth stated that Audition influenced him to make his film Hostel, with Miike even making a cameo as a satisfied customer of the kidnappers who let customers torture their victims.
Richard Corliss, writing in Time, opined that Audition was different from the torture porn films as, quote, unlike Saw and its imitators in the genre of torture porn, Audition doesn't go for gorific money shots. Miike's films live inside their characters, taking the temperature of their longings, the ridiculous ambitions they chase so obsessively, and their need to experience the extreme to prove they're alive.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm alive.
We should talk a little bit about Takashi Miike.
I think so.
Right. And what's funny is I kept reading this as Takashi Miike, like it was a nickname.
Takashi Miike?
Yeah, Takashi Miike. Takashi Miike is a prolific Japanese filmmaker, born in 1960. He's directed well over 100 films across all genres since the early 1990s. He started in the low-budget V cinema in Japan, which is, of course, direct-to-video scene, and quickly became known for, his astonishing work rate and extreme versatility, making horror and Yakuza crime pictures, samurai epics, comedies, musicals, more.
That is an impressive fucking number of films to have made.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's got to be some kind of a record.
Breakneck, you could say.
He certainly gets in there and gets it done, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. His name is synonymous with transgressive, unpredictable cinema that willingly mixes shocking violence, dark humor, and surreal or grotesque imagery with more conventional storytelling. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know how many of the other 100 films I've seen. I don't think I've seen a single one. Most of them were kind of made for TV, direct to streaming, direct to video, actually. Back then, direct to video, right?
I don't know that I've seen a lot. I mean, I know that there's a lot of movies that he's known for. I've seen Ichi the Killer. Yeah. Well,
Miike's most internationally recognized film besides Audition include Ichi the Killer, obviously, that you just said, from 2001, which was an ultra-violent stylized Yakuza film that helped define extreme Japanese cinema, and 13 Assassins, just from 2010, 15 years ago, which is a critically acclaimed samurai epic and demonstrating his command of large-scale action in classical genre forms. I have not seen that.
I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah. Other notable boundary-pushing titles are Visitor Q, which is something that lots of people know about. I did not, but my husband did, which is a surreal, dark comedy. He also did the anarchic Dead or Alive films and a bunch of lighter but still idiosyncratic works that we don't cover here on the Film Flamers.
I had not heard of Visitor Q either until your husband was talking about it. Mm-hmm. And he made it seem very, very extreme.
Yeah. But it's apparently a comedy? I don't know.
I mean...
What is it, South Korea?
Who knows with Miike? Ichi the Killer is a really good movie and does have some extreme violence in it. But I don't know. For me, Miike's violence is okay in his movies. You know what I mean? There's a huge difference from watching something like the Serbian film and watching a Miike movie. It just seems more legitimate, maybe is a good word.
Yeah, a little more grounded, I think, but also it's very matter of fact, which makes it more disturbing. And I think is that part of it, right? I think parts of the most disturbing parts of this are not really so much of the violence, but some of the other things that are kind of surrounding it. You know, a lot of the alluded abuse that happens to her. You know, our wonderful killer in this, as well as some of the things that she's doing that aren't necessarily violence. You know, to her. People barfing in the bowl and then handing it to them to lap up like a dog.
All of which falls under the heading of shock cinema, right? Mm-hmm. There is such a juxtaposition in this movie because the first half is one thing and the second half is completely kind of bonkers and almost Lynchian in its dreamlike way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
we'll definitely be getting into that.
Yeah. There's just a stark contrast. And I think that it's done effectively to show some extreme things.
Yeah. Before we get into all of that, let's talk about this cast real quick. I don't know anyone really in this cast. Our main two are Ryo Ishibashi and Ayal Shina. Now, Ryo plays Shigeharu Aoyama, the widower, right? Mm-hmm. Who stages the fake auditions. And he's a veteran Japanese actor and former frontman of the rock band ARB, by the way, with a long career in film and television. But to American viewers, he's best known for the roles that crossed into international releases of Hollywood productions, like he was in The Grudge, I believe, as a detective. Yep. From 2004, and other genre films. Though he never really became a mainstream Hollywood star, his prominence remains strongest in Japanese cinema and TV, obviously.
He's got a super recognizable face, and maybe it's because I've seen The Grudge so many times.
Yes. Yeah, I recognized him almost immediately. And then Sheena, I had never played her, but she's very striking looking, very, very slim. Plays Asami Yamazaki, the enigmatic young woman whose composed exterior conceals a deeply disturbing inner life. This would be her kind of model turned actress. She kind of had her breakthrough here, at least as far as like wider international recognition. And almost really nothing else. This is the primary way Americans would know her, at least. She's been in some Japanese films, but, other horror and cult titles, but like not really, broad mainstream or anything, not even to the point of Ryu.
So she did achieve some sort of celebrity in Japan then?
Kind of. I think she's been in some other things, just nothing like big hits that crossover.
Okay.
I don't know that she's a household name.
I don't know. Yeah. I do know that both of these people do an amazing job acting wise in this movie, I feel.
She's probably like that one actress that was in like Glass House or whatever, and she played like Joan of Arc.
Lily Sobieski?
Yes. Some of us know her name. Some of us just like, oh, yeah, I remember her. What happened?
I don't think I remember her name for the right reasons.
There you go, people. She is the Japanese equivalent.
Lily Sobieski. Wow. It is that kind of thing that you only hear on the Film Flamers. Well, no, I really like her in this movie. I think she's good. I think she has like this weird kind of like dual role, and she does it well.
Oh, yeah. So. More than that, for sure. Yeah, she's the part she plays, the part she is, and then her past, which are three different things. So she gets a lot of meaty things to do.
She does.
Background and themes. This is adapted actually from Ryu Murakami's 1997 novel. You'll notice that's 1997. This came out in 1999.
Quick.
So The Ring had come out in 1998, and they were like, "Who can make this fast to come out with The Ring?" Because it was super popular.
That's right.
So
obviously Miike.
Yeah. And you'll notice like it came out like basically like less than a year later.
Yep.
Right. And so like read the book, adapted it, made the film, came out all, then just to take advantage along with so much other.
The Ring was a book too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Right. So like what else do we have? Right. And that's what happened. So Miike intentionally employed a slow burn structure, obviously adapted from this book, but long stretches of everyday banality and romantic promise lull the audience before the film pivots into a shocking graphic horror. Which I don't know that it's that graphic. It's just like, it's more like Salò, where it's just like there's more alluding. And then if you're really like locked into it and you can really believe what's happening on film, you might get a little sick.
Yeah.
But that's not really based on gore. You know what I mean? For me.
No, I don't think that this movie is particularly gory, but I
mean, there's enough with the garroting stuff going on for that. But I mean, it's not super, off, but it's like ripping flesh. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're almost like it's almost surgical, and it's not done with a lot of trauma. You know,
it's very precise and it's very intentional.
Yeah, yeah. Which doesn't make it any better, but I mean, like it's easier on the audience, I think.
Well, I think we also just had a conversation recently about like people being desensitized to things, right? Yeah. And I would assume that in 1999, people hadn't seen something like this before.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, but today they have.
So obviously that contrast was in the book and in the film, but it amplified the impact of the climax and serves other thematic aims like critiquing the objectification of women, exploring the consequences of treating people as fantasies to be auditioned, probing the darker side of intimacy, trauma, revenge, all of those things. I want to say, and loneliness.
Yeah, for sure.
It certainly has something to say about loneliness.
It's all over this movie.
Yeah, and Audition has been read as feminist or misogynistic by different people based on various scenes. However, Ryu Murakami, the novelist, Daisuke Tengan, the screenwriter, and Takashi Miike, the director, have always denied any overt feminist angles in the movie. In fact, film scholars have pointed out that Western feminism has very little traction in Japan, and depictions of abuse against women, such as rape and violence, in Japanese popular culture are not only very common, they're also broadly accepted. So most cinema experts, therefore, see the movie as an abrupt reversal of those gender roles out of an expression of male fear of what women could be capable of.
And I definitely have some things to say about that.
Oh, yeah?
For sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I shall. So the movie, like you just said, is oftentimes described as feminist or misogynistic by critics, right? But I think that looking at it from a feminist standpoint isn't the correct way to talk about this movie. I feel taking a gender studies approach is better, right? Mm-hmm. So gender studies obviously is more about like performance in gender and systems that are created by all these things, right? Okay. So to me, Audition is more about a story about male entitlement than it is about feminist power, right? Aoyama is allowed to curate a wife, right? So he evaluates without consent, and he preserves this male control while pretending to offer choice to the woman that he would eventually choose, right? Mm-hmm. It's a complete illusion in that. And the audition is never meant to be about romance, right? Which we've already talked about. So women are asked and evaluated on their gender performances. Like, this man is obviously looking for sincerity and softness and vulnerability, you know, while men in this situation would retain control over the narrative and the outcome of everything, right? That's exactly what an audition is. He gets to choose and create the outcome of things. Asami's silence is more than like just revenge or something. It seems like it's a survival performance, not just a gendered performance. She's learned throughout her life what men want, and she knows how to give it to them. So she becomes part of the system that men create, right? But the horror actually begins when that performance, the gender performance, breaks down and stops working, right? When men start to lose control. Mm-hmm. So the torture scene then, to me, is more of a reversal of gender power, right? The man loses control and the woman is in charge. This isn't just about pain. It's about control over who has voice, over who endures, and who decides when everything would possibly end. Asami is able to weaponize the qualities that he is looking for in a woman. She attacks him with patience, quietness, and endurance. And gender performances are used against those who would create them in the first place. A purely feminist reading would ask, is Asami empowered or monstrous? But a gender studies reading would ask, why do systems of male entitlement produce women who are labeled as monstrous when they break down and become empowered?
I don't know that they do. I think it's not like this.
No, and that's why, like, I'm not sure that there's a real way that we can empathize with this woman, right? And I don't think that's what Miike wants us to do. I think the bigger problem here is why these gendered systems exist in the first place and what happens when they collapse.
I think we may have already thought about this more than he did. I think the author has thought about it a lot.
I'm sure the author did, you know, but that's the whole thing about like interpretation and looking through things through like theoretical lenses. I mean, like, and why we have a podcast in the first place, so we can stop and think about things far more than that. And sometimes, yeah, like I might go way too deeply and off the rails, you know, but for me, like thinking about this from a gendered stance and not just a feminist one is just better, you know. I don't know. I think I may have gone too far into it.
No, I think you're right, but I mean, it's an academic nuance, mm-hmm. which isn't something that most people have. I think they're going to talk about this in that duality way, you know, which is like, this is either a misogynistic story or it's a feminine story, or they're not going to think about it at all, because it's clearly based on someone like hurt people, lonely people are lonely, yeah. and those things are drives, and then those things are motivations of extreme behavior. Right. But mostly those things we've seen in serial killers in men. Right. And so it's like, what happens if this happens to a woman who's similarly ambitious or acts on those feelings as a man would, you know? And so it's just it's kind of an interesting take from that standpoint as well.
I think ultimately, like the main concept of this movie about like the audition, right? So its namesake, to me, is kind of like gross. But then, like, if you stop and think about it, doesn't that happen every single day with like dating apps and stuff like that? Aren't people all auditioning for each other all the time? But just the way that this is set up for those men to sort of like lure these women into something that they're not expecting is just really kind of fucking gross to me.
Yeah, well, it's happening on both sides, right? Because she's kind of doing the same thing, but she's doing that male serial killer thing, mm-hmm. which is, essentially I was hurt. I had no one and nothing to put, my pain into, because, I would say serial killers are produced from a lot of the time Western male civilization.
Yeah.
Certainly around a certain time in history and place. And I want to say 99% of those are men, right?
Yeah.
And white men. And a society where dealing with your emotions is not something that men are supposed to really do, right? And this woman was kind of put in a position emotionally as a man, right? But then is tipping the scales from that power discussion that you mentioned, right? And so it's kind of just playing with that, the gender studies of it all, if you're even interested in that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, I think this is a highly specific situation with highly specific people, right? And her situation is her situation, however unlikely.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with all of that. And I also wonder, like, there's got to be a cultural aspect into this too, because I know that like the gendered performances and the gender restrictions and roles in Japan are completely different than America, and it's completely lost on me because I don't know all those nuances, right?
Right. Well, I think it really is a lot. We tend to, when we watch foreign film, we watch them like we're reading a novel, because we kind of are in a way, right?
Yeah.
With the subtitles, and there's some cultural things, and it's almost like a Rorschach, right? We're putting a lot of ourselves into these things, and we get something back from it in a way that a lot of audiences probably never would if they were local to it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that a lot of people are putting a lot more meaning and so what into this movie and story than was intended.
And possibly putting more meaning and so what into it in other cultures, right? Because he already said that it didn't get much attention in Japan until it was, appreciated abroad.
No, and for him, this is, the workman director, this is one of 100 movies that he's done.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll get into more of that later because there's more details, right?
Because don't forget, he doesn't care what people think in the West.
No, he doesn't, but almost no Japanese person does.
And they shouldn't. They're making movies for Japan and not America. It's fine.
No, they're super, I don't want to say xenophobic, but like siloed, Not siloed.
Not salad.
If you know, you know. Icky, icky.
You're still right.
But we have to talk about the style of this, because even though it was really workmanlike, it had a style to it. The cinematography, it transitions kind of from its fuzzy, dreamy soap look, which a lot of the, that was just like kind of stock they were using. But they went to like a high contrast verite cinema look by the end of it, right? Very crisp lens, right? Very steady hand versus the beginning is almost dreamlike.
And I really find that to be very interesting in this, that this movie is so incredibly separated by its halves, right? And the first half, like you said, is very dreamlike. And you're even wondering, like,
well, it's the first 3/4.
Yeah, like how much of it is real and how much of it is imagined. And I think that we get to see things later on toward the second half where you even start to question the reality of the first half of the movie that you see, right?
Oh, see, I didn't take it that way. I just took it as lazy exposition put into, a montage that was done in kind of a way that was being toyed with at the time by Lynch, as well as Tarantino.
Yes.
It was in vogue.
This movie is incredibly Lynchian to me, just in its like dreamlike qualities and just the way, the things that are happening.
Lynch and Tarantino are all over this in a way, but especially Lynch, really. Like the music, the soundtrack, all of that's very Lynchian. Yep. The tone, right? This is considered a landmark J-horror for its blending of psychological realism with its transgressive violence. And by that they mean it's just transgressive violence is a better way than saying, torture porn. Mm-hmm. But it feels like we're building a bridge from the late 80s and early 90s erotic thrillers, led by Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct. And then, the early transgressive thrillers like Misery, Funny Games.
Yeah.
Right? To the early aughts, right? The bridge is to the early aughts with the more transgressive So What fare with films like Hostel, Saw, or even Hard Candy, with a dash of David Lynch for stylistic flourish and almost feels like a justification.
I can totally see that too. And so like, while he say he may not, care about the interests of the West, or he's not making movies for them, he certainly probably got some inspiration from some of those movies, and it's hard not to.
Yeah.
Right?
So to me, like that, when I say so what, I mean, there's almost not enough meaning in here to justify its existence with what you have to live through and see in this movie. With Saw, I think it's like, especially when you get into things like Hostels and stuff, it gets so wacky by the end that it's almost worth it just for the wackiness of it all.
Yeah.
It stops taking itself seriously in a way, like Cabin Fever in a way, like that sort of thing. And that was what Eli Roth's first movie, right?
Yep.
You know, and so like, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference there. This is as serious as a car accident the entire way through, you know?
Yeah, there is. And I mean,
but it's not as fun or as meaningful as those earlier erotic thrillers like Fatal Attraction or Basic Instinct. Now I'm putting some subjectivity opinion in there, obviously, but there's certainly not as much of a all the way through entertain on the edge of your seat thinking about things, trying to pull things apart like you are in Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct.
well, no, this movie, I mean, like they try to play it as a mystery, like most of the way through it, but it doesn't even become a mystery until really the second part.
What I'm trying to say is that this movie needed Michael Douglas. And Sobieski.
Lee Sobieski.
Oh my God, could you imagine a late 90s movie starring him and Sobieski in these two roles?
Yes, I'm imagining it right now, actually.
It kind of fits.
I mean, that would be
Weird. It's like hard candy. So differences between the book and the movie based on my research, it was just basically more psychologically nuanced and grounded and less like transgressively violent at the end, but some of the same things happen. And some of the blocking, I think, during the end scenes with the son and stuff are different.
Yeah.
I think he has more of a say in his fate in the book than in the movie. Otherwise, fairly similar, at least, you know, based on my research. What about you actually read it?
I did. I read this. Do you remember many years ago where I made that resolution to read 100 books, right? This was one of the 100.
Okay.
Right? So it's
just like one of his 100 movies.
Yeah, it's been quite some time since I've read this book, and I read it really quickly because it's really short. But it does follow the movie fairly closely.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's less violent at the end, but it's supposed to be a shocking end. If anything, like I was just as bored reading this book as I was watching the first part of this movie.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it all fits. So I wouldn't tell people to run out and just buy a copy of it. But I had seen this movie like many years before, and I was just like, let me just read this book. And I did. And that's it.
How did it rate amongst the other 100?
It was mid.
Bottom half?
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, I read the entire Harry Potter series that year too.
Oh.
So I read a lot of things that year.
Okay. Well, how did that rate?
I really like the Harry Potter books.
Yeah.
Very much. I also read the Hunger Games books that year. They were really good too.
Yeah.
I have some questions about Audition though.
When women are devastated, they make really good art.
Would you call Audition a horror movie?
Sure. But like, if this movie happened backwards, would it be? It would almost be like something horrible happens and then it's like a survival movie, you know, and like a getting over your trauma, like Deep Into the Ocean movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Takashi Miike has even said that he doesn't see this movie as horror because in Japan, horror is considered supernatural. And this is about real life. But in the West, horror is a wider purview, obviously, right? Certainly on the Film Flamers, it does. So this is certainly going to be considered for us based on the way it's constructed. But I would say that's it. The only based on the way this movie is constructed is a horror. And because intent has a you know, certainly a ways.
I mean, I would say that there are some creepy things that are happening throughout it. I would certainly call the beginning of this movie at the very, very least horror adjacent. But to me, you're right when you call it soap-like, right? I think it's more of a soap opera or some sort of like drama film that sort of like just leads into this kind of like bonkers ending, you know?
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, I don't think that the ending is as shocking today as it was back then. And I also feel like most people know already that there's a shocking ending in Audition, so it's kind of been ruined for everyone who hasn't seen it before, you know? I would still call it a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a flapping tongue on the ground, you know what I mean? And so like...
And a very Muppety reaction to that description. Out of everything he sees and does in this movie, the description from the neighbor that he doesn't know about the flapping tongue.
He just hallucinates a flapping tongue on the floor and he's like, you know? And so
throws himself against the wall.
I know, in horror. So there's reasons like that it's a horror movie, right? I mean, and then eventually you have someone sawing off a foot with, a really strong, sharp wire. And so, yes, horror all the way. Why not?
Sure.
Were you scared while watching Audition?
Absolutely not.
Same. Because even by the time that I saw Audition, I knew there was a crazy ending. And
Yeah, but it's not even meant to be scary. I mean,
it's meant to be off-putting. I guess. But I don't know. I wasn't scared ever. I was scared for my fucking brain. Like, am I going to make it out of this first part? I've seen this movie maybe like 3 or 4 times now.
Oh, wow.
And every single time I am just bored to tears.
Why would you do that to yourself again then? Just lapping it up, just like that vomit.
Because I like the performances. I really like this character of Asami. I think that she's great. I think she's very, very interesting. And just like watching Lynch films over and over again, you can be a little bored, but you're going to notice something different each time you watch the movie, or get some sort of different takeaway from it, right? And I don't know. Like, I feel like I was less bored on this particular rewatch, but I could read the room and just feel the boredom like resonating off everybody watching it. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, y'all. I've been there.
Yeah.
What did you rate Audition?
2.5.
It's pretty low.
It's bad. Technically, it is a middle score between a 0 and a 5.
That's right. Midway.
It's very beige to me. Yeah. There's some good things about it. I think there's some good filmmaking here. This guy is I don't know if it's his 100th movie, but it's up there. And he was certainly by his 50th by then, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. I give it 3.5 stars. I like this movie, and I really like the ending. I think
most people would agree with you, not me.
Yeah, I mean, I like when the movie turns halfway through it and just becomes something else.
Halfway.
Well, probably toward the end.
That would have been a blessed change to the halfway through the movie.
I mean, maybe dividing it in half thematically, then instead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the latter thematic half.
Yes.
This movie quite
the last 30 seconds truly is. It's like the Bride of Frankenstein of J-horror.
Like, we were watching it last night.
The bride is in the last 30 seconds of the movie.
Chris is like, when does it become a horror movie? I'm like, the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, like my smoke alarm started doing the dead battery thing, and I was like, nope, got to deal with that. Pause.
Yeah. Let me take care of anything else in life.
Hit from changing the batteries.
I'll feel a sense of accomplishment. No need to pause.
Grab a little wee fistful of Werther's while I'm at it.
And that always provides a dopamine hit. I mean, I feel like I would recommend this movie just based on its legacy, like Audition is a movie that you should probably go and watch.
If I was giving someone like an assignment for J-horror, maybe it would be on the bottom of the list, but it wouldn't be in my top 3.
No,
for sure. And like, if I was going to tell people to watch a thriller or erotic thriller, I would point them to the classics, Like, to me, Basic Instinct is insanely interesting, endlessly rewatchable.
Yeah.
Right. Same with, in a way, with Fatal Attraction.
I would agree with both of those movies. I mean, I feel like if you're talking about a timeless quality, right? I feel like Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct are like tops.
Yeah, and this is not trying to be that. No, it's not. I want to be clear about that. But I mean, it is kind of in that time, right? And so, this was affected by those things, and it affected things that came after it, just like everything else. All of these things are a product of their time, were influenced by everything that was happening around them. And some of this was a business decision, clearly.
It creates a through line of genre.
Yeah.
Finally, and maybe difficult to answer, who's the hottest guy in Audition?
No one.
Exactly no one.
Ryu, I guess. It has to be.
Yeah.
Certainly not his fucking son.
No, he's goofy looking. And there's very few characters in this movie, and like he would win by default. I guess he's the most attractive guy in this movie. I wouldn't call him hot by any means. But I was thinking about this today, and I was like, who the fuck am I going to pick for that? I'm like, my answer is no one. We have the same answer again. Do you have some fun facts for me?
I do.
Okay.
So Audition was shot in 3 weeks.
That's fast.
Which was shot 1 more week than usual for his films at the time. He would shoot films like this in 2 weeks.
The fuck?
2 weeks.
That's insane to me.
Yep. So this is very just one of a slew that he's like, to him, there's nothing very special about this. He was hired to adapt this because of The Ring. The Grudge was made because of The Ring, right? Yeah. All these things are, and it's just like, this was a business thing.
However, I will say that Takashi Miike loves cinema and he loves film clearly. And making film.
Yeah, but why waste your time? Like, he's not going to sit there if someone said a line correctly. Like, I guess let's just, I need to like look to see what his process is. I bet it's meticulous planning, a really, really good production team.
Yeah.
Right. He's got to have some sort of like, Japanese, just like the Germans, are supposed to be super well organized. And, you've got your list of locations, you got your list of actors, you got this, everyone can go. All right. We're going to do, and it's going to be done and out. And everyone gets paid and go home.
That's right. On to the next movie.
Yeah.
On to 101.
Yep.
BreakfastChainsawMassacre.
Wow.
Next movie.
Yeah.
Although I recently watched a documentary that was shown at Overlook this year.
Could you imagine how fast he can film things with digital now? Like,
Jesus Christ, he's just pumping 3 movies out a week.
Yeah.
And where he was talking about how he was influenced by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? And Stephen King was also in that, talking about this influence. And Takashi Miike's like conversation about that movie and how it influenced him and to become a filmmaker is really, really interesting. So if people haven't seen that, you should go watch it.
I definitely want to. Yeah. So when the film was screened at Rotterdam, speaking of the Germans, in 2000, is Rotterdam Film Festival in Germany? I would assume
Dutch.
Oh, really? Okay. In 2000, it had a record number of walkouts. One woman who had actually sat through the entire film immediately walked out of the ensuing Q&A session past the stage and hissed, "You are sick!" Director Takashi Miike, much to his amusement and delight. At the Swiss premiere, someone passed out and needed emergency room attention.
Oh my God, calm down, y'all.
Described by Quentin Tarantino as a true masterpiece, if ever there was one, in a video discussing his favorite films released between 1992 and 2009. That's a strange pairing of years.
What a weird timeline.
I must announce my favorite films between 1992 and 2009. Everyone is asking me.
It's just like they just didn't make good movies.
I don't know that anyone wants to ask Tarantino anything at this point.
No, I don't think anyone really cares what his opinion is anymore. They just he just talks and people are like, sure, Jan.
Just do another line.
Well, because he keeps talking about I'm going to make my final movie. I always said I was going to make.
Well, now he's talking shit about these actors.
Yeah, Paul Dano, poor Paul Dano,
and others too. Just horrible stuff.
No one wants to work with you, Quentin.
What did he say about the guy, the Scream actor, too?
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah,
and he was very kind about it. You know what I mean? But whatever.
Well,
obviously,
yeah, they said I thought it was really interesting hearing it from Matthew Lillard because he was just it's kind of like attending your own wake. Right, because everyone's just like, no, Matthew Lillard is amazing, and blah 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 blah, and he's like, it's so super unique out of body experience when someone disparages you like that out of nowhere, and you're not even on the D list, and then everyone's talking about how amazing you are. He's like, first of all, it was really insulting, and then he was like, and then now I feel like everyone fucking loves me in the entire world. You know what I mean?
I'll probably love him even.
So
more.
Paul Dano is probably riding high as well.
Well, because people are coming to his defense too. So I mean, ultimately, nobody's going to want to work with you anymore.
No, Paul Dano is known as one of the best working actors today. What are you talking about?
Oh my God!
And if anything, every movie needs more Matthew Lillard.
I agree with that.
God damn
Except
it.
he was
national treasure.
Five Nights at
Freddy's.
Freddy's.
Is he Canadian?
No, he's American.
Is it Skeet? Skeet looks kind of beady-eyed.
Skeet looks terrible now.
No.
Yes, he does. However, Matthew Lillard has a wine. I don't know if he has his own winery or vineyard, but there's a fucking Scream wine that I want. Maybe it's tequila. I can't remember. He makes
he turns tequila into wine.
He makes some kind of alcohol, and I want to drink it.
So, lastly, I could not corroborate this in any way, but quote, the dog bowl of vomit fed to Asami's prisoner is in fact the actual vomit of actress Ai. Takashi Miike claims that Ai is a method actress and insisted on doing this.
That's fucking gross. So that guy actually ate her vomit?
No, there's no way that would have happened.
So she just vomited into a bowl and they gave him something
there
similar.
was like certainly a cut there, but I'm sure if she cut it, I don't think we ever saw her real vomit. If that even happened, if it even happened, because I could not corroborate this. It's an old wives' like urban legend, right?
All right.
I don't know that this is true. If it did, I can assume that she did it. They recorded it and that's her actual sound of it. But like, it's clearly just like simple chocolate fucking milk. There's not even nary a chunk in that vomit.
Yeah, it was far too smooth.
I watched that happen and I got thirsty.
She's a model turned actress, right? I think we talked about.
Oh, she's used to throwing up. Yeah, totally happened.
So yeah, she can probably make herself throw up. But is she method though? Like, what model is going to be like, I'm going to study the method before probably all of them. What the fuck am I talking about?
Just means she didn't have to go to the bathroom between takes. What a horrible thing to say.
This bowl smells like craft services. Are you okay? That's fucking gross. I want it to be true though.
Yeah.
They were fun.
Were they?
Yes.
It's actually quite inspiring that he made this movie in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I can't imagine making a movie in 6 weeks. So
I can.
You can? 6 weeks? That's all you need?
Yep. Just 4.5. I fucking know.
I think that just about wraps up our conversation about Audition. And we always want to know what you think about the film and our conversation about it. Go to the social medias. Find us at The Film Flamers on Facebook, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Threads.
You can email us at tiredqueens@filmflamers.com or call our hotline at 972-666-7733. Let us know, can you make movies as fast as a Japanese man for 4.5 weeks? Or a white man around 6 weeks? Or a look at that man 7 or 8 weeks? Sorry.
Yes.
It's horrible.
I don't. We have more content coming out for you on the main feed, so stay tuned for that. And also
The Vastness or something?
The Vanishing.
The Vanishing.
Or whatever it's called in its original language, Speckaloos, Sporloos, something like that. So stay tuned for that as we talk about more romantic horror, and head over to patreon.com/thefilmflamers, join the family, and get our bonus episode this month. Well, Chris.
Well, Robert.
I've already been bored to tears by this movie, so it's time to go off and finally have some
sweet vomity dreams.
Gross.